Alright, so Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is now in theaters, and I'd like to share my thoughts on it. I'm going to be honest, this video is going to be pretty short because I absolutely love this movie. All I have to say is positive. There's going to be a few negative things at the end, but I'm just going to keep it short and quick, just talk about the things that I liked, because I could go on for quite a long time talking about all the things I loved, so I'm just going to keep it to kind of the bigger points. First off, Simu Liu as the title character, Shang-Chi. Absolutely perfect casting. If you are someone who's watching this and you have access to Netflix, which I have a feeling is going to be quite a few of you, do yourselves a favor and watch Kim's Convenience. It's a Canadian sitcom comedy show where he's one of the main characters on there. And it's really awesome for me to see a character from a show that I don't think a lot of people have heard of, be set on this path to become like a big movie star. So he's super likable in this movie. He's just a super likable guy in general, and I'm really happy to see him, achieving the kind of success he has. So he was great as a title character. Aquafina, I was a little bit nervous about. She's kind of a polarizing figure for me. Sometimes her comedy can get a little bit grating. And the style of it is just sometimes hit or miss for me, but I'm happy to report that she worked perfectly in this movie. She kind of acts as like the proxy for the audience. She's discovering this, kind of mystical and magical world at the same time that we are, so we kind of get to experience the movie through her eyes. She's funny, of course, as she's meant to be. She is sort of the comedic relief, but it's not like typical Marvel movie funny where there might be an emotional moment and then a character says something funny. She's funny when she needs to be. She is emotional when she needs to be. And there wasn't any scenes where I felt like she ruined it with a badly timed joke. So she was awesome. I'm happy to report. Tony Leung as Wenwoo, the leader of the Ten Rings, is sort of the villain in this movie. Like, he's the bad guy, but you never really get the feeling that he's the main antagonist in this movie. He's just another character that wants something that just happens to be the opposite of what the main characters want. He's very empathetic. They do a good job of making him a well-rounded character. He's not just a one-dimensional Marvel villain that we've kind of seen in the past. I would honestly, I've never made like a list of my top MCU villains, but I would honestly put him up there. He's like top 5 villain for me. So I thought he was really well. The acting from Tony Leung was great, but the character was just very multi-dimensional, and I like that about it. Recently, in some of my videos, I've sort of mentioned my fetish for good hand-to-hand combat in movies and how Marvel can be a little bit hit or miss. Sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's really choppy, and you can just tell it's not well done. This movie has some of the best hand-to-hand combat I've seen in a Marvel movie. The martial arts in this movie, from a choreography standpoint as well as from a directing standpoint, was incredible. You could tell that the people who were doing the action, whether it was the actual actors or the stunt people, knew what they were doing. It flowed. There was no like weirdly timed, where I mentioned this in a previous video, where like they punch and then they have to wait for the guy to do the move. It just flowed naturally. Also, the way it was shot, it wasn't all choppy. Like, they didn't cut every time a different punch or a kick was thrown. It was all very wide, so you can see the whole fight going on at one time. Everything about the fighting in this movie worked for me, and it was really enjoyable. It's some of the best fighting I've seen in any MCU movie. This movie didn't really fall short in any aspects for me. The one, I guess, aspect that I noticed, and this is common throughout Marvel movies, is in the third act of Marvel movies, it tends to be the big CGI battle where there's a lot going on screen, a lot of, like I said, computer-generated stuff, not a whole lot of actual people. And this movie does that as well. The final fight is a CGI fest, and it's not like distracting. Like, it was entertaining to watch. All the emotional beats worked in the final battle. It's like noticeable. You notice that there's specifically the green screen or blue screen or whatever, like you can tell they're just in a studio somewhere with a green screen. It's noticeable, but it didn't take away from the action for me, but it's just something that, like I said, I noticed. One other thing that was just a slight nitpick, I guess, and this is slightly spoilerish, a little bit. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. During the final battle, there's a change of allegiance for some of the characters, which from the story standpoint, like what's going on in the movie at that point, it makes sense for that to happen. It just happens very quickly. Like, I understood why they would make that change. It was just like very fast, and normally it would have made sense for them to like drop little hints throughout the movie that that was maybe going to happen. It just like a complete 180 at that point. So, like I said, from the story perspective, it made sense. It just happened a little bit quick. Yeah, so in the end, Shang-Chi, I absolutely loved it. I'm not going to be surprised if this is in my top 10 list movies at the end of the year. I really enjoyed it that much. I hope I get a chance to see it again before the end of the year. Hopefully it comes out on Disney Plus at some point so I can just rewatch it for free and not have to pay to go to the movies again. Although it was so good, I'd be willing to pay $15 to go see it again. That's how good it was. Okay, so Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Have you seen it? If so, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching and be sure to stay tuned for more.